Hello, how are you? Dang. I just finished recording the December energetic check-in, and it was a big check-in. Take care of yourself in December. It's going to be lovely and also revealing. Whenever you're listening to this, today we're talking about being fierce enough to be you. Yay. Oh my gosh. I love you. I mean that. And we need you. First, I'm going to start. I did a blog post that anybody can view on my Substack. My Substack is also Rebs the Rekka. My spiritual name is seemingly Rebs the Beautiful Rekka. Just kidding, it's Rebs the Rekka. I mean, I am beautiful, and so are you, and it's okay to say that. And I want to read you the blog post, semi-poem type inspirational piece to start this podcast because I think being fiercely you is so special, and I want to share the thoughts that I wrote down. So, stepping in, being fierce isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quietest, softest thing you'll ever do. It's being fierce enough to be with yourself, to sit in your own energy without needing someone else to fill the silence, to choose you even when the world is pulling at your sleeves. It's being fierce enough to say no, even if it disappoints people or pisses them off. Their reaction is their journey, their healing, their projection, not your burden. It's being fierce enough to soften when you need rest, to let yourself crumble into the arms of gentleness, to choose nourishment over performance. It's being fierce enough to grow, to validate yourself, to cheer for yourself, to show up for your evolution without waiting for external permission. It's being fierce enough to face your inner dragons and then love them like they are a part of your soul, because they are. They aren't here to destroy you. They are there to show you where your power has been hiding and where you can use some mending. It's being fierce enough to be you, fully, weirdly, wildly, sincerely, honestly, and trusting that you is more than enough. This is the kind of fierce that sets you free. Oh my gosh. There's just so much of like me and my work and life that I've always noticed within myself where I just feel so freaking passionate about like about you, about others, about like healing, about if you're going through something for so long. Throughout my life, as like when I was in my dance world, there were so many injuries. There was also so many weird fucking things in life with the sex tape stuff. And all I wanted to do was help others. That was also a way for me to help myself. Absolutely. Because I also in the past didn't think that I was worthy of healing myself. I thought that I had to help others to be worthy of healing myself. And as I learned, or life taught me, it shed the aspect of others and brought it back to myself and saying like, you're fucking worthy of healing. Like, screw everyone. And yet, it is also an innate internal calling to step into these spaces and to be, I don't know, just to be myself and to be here. I don't even know what it does or doesn't to you. And like, maybe it pisses you off and maybe it makes you feel amazing. I want to connect with you. Connection is also a huge thing. Learning all of these sides of myself, honestly, my path is some deep ass healing. My path personally had a lot of fucking things that were strenuously challenging, even to a point where my close friends were going, I don't know how to do this anymore. And nor did I. Relationships I was in, I don't know how to do this. I found someone else. I don't know how to do this. I'm going through my own shit, you know? There have been so many substantial events in my life and in many people's lives And one thing that I do understand, we're all here for healing and building into our power. Our own paths are going to look different. So if your path, as an example, isn't extenuatingly difficult, sometimes I think I make up words. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're not here for magic and beauty and power. Like, man, I bet you're an old fucking soul that's got a lot of life lesson behind them where your magic, your essence has been shining this whole time. For someone like myself, and for me personally, I should say, I can't speak for others in this capacity. It took me a lot of unlearning and pain to learn that I was worthy, to learn that I was fierce enough to be myself. And it was painstakingly painful over and over again. And it was gut-wrenchingly uncomfortable in so many situations, like in every aspect of my life, especially kick butt geared, catalyzed by the sex tape stuff. Like it was so uncomfortable. And I realized, as the uncomfortable's not over, I realized that all of this was a massive shedding and a massive fucking kick in the face and awakening for me to find myself. Sometimes I still, to this day, work to understand where I'm operating out of. Am I operating out of the fierceness of myself or the softness of myself, or am I operating at a place where I am doing it for others' expectations or needs? It's not that we can't care for other people's needs. I have to mute my. It's not that we can't care for other people's needs. It is that we are here to fiercely connect to ourselves and help ourselves so we can actually help other people on a very beautiful, big level, in a very big way. Being fiercely you is so emancipating, freeing, empowering, and it is like the essence and magic and purpose of life. I wrote a book called The Purpose of Life, which I am doing a 2025-2026 update on that book because I'm discovering my voice even more. I'm fiercely being myself even more and more. But I wrote in this book, essentially, some of the premise was that presence is the purpose of life, and in presence is where you shed all of the shit essentially to allow yourself to exist as you. When you are you and you don't have these like things planted into your soul of what you're supposed to be doing or what you should be doing or do more, when you release those and release so many other aspects, you allow yourself to just be this like spongy, beautiful version of yourself where life is an opportunity, where like literally every single moment is an opportunity. There's almost a way I can't describe it, where it's showing me this visual of presence and the squishiness of you, and it's showing it almost as a scientific like particle or atom type thing, and it's like a bubble of joy, and you exist as this like beautiful, spongy, like magical atom or molecule or whatever you want to call this thing that they're showing me. Like you just exist in this floating bubble of beauty, and it's like in this space it almost highlights when you're in that bubble. Wherever you go, it highlights what you're looking at or what you're passing by, and it's not that nothing else exists, but it's so connected and so heightened that time slows down. Time slows down when you're present. There was this one time, I know this doesn't seem like maybe a great example, but this one time I was driving through the mountains, and so a part of me wonders if this was a dream or if this actually happened, but I full on know this happened. And in fact, I believe I talked to my mom about it at some point after. I was driving, and I'm from Alberta Rockies in Canada, where there's freaking grizzly bears and wolves and mountain lions and all these things. There's all these types of beautiful big animals, and I literally like never really saw any of them in real life. And I remember driving and I almost hit this grizzly bear. And as I was safe, and I kind of knew I was safe, I put my foot on the brake, and in those moments, time completely slowed down. I talked about this somewhere else. And the fur on the grizzly bear was like glistening as they ran across the road in the sun. And it was like the most beautiful, meaningful, like slow, like if you're watching the video, I'm moving slow right now because it felt so wildly here. It was so like it was like I don't know, it's not that I was in another realm because we have access to this this aspect of time, this difference in time and space and how we interact with the present moment. We have the ability to access that anytime because time is what we've made up as humans. But it was just so incredibly beautiful. And all of us in those moments, I mean, sure, there might have been fear in the bear and myself, but like we were stripped of everything else. We were stripped of because we had to be bare. It was almost a survival moment, but I hesitate to use the word survival because survival can bring up a lot of other things where your nervous system's off and there might be anxiety or something involved. So we're not going into survival mode, but it was so stripped of everything else that it had to be present. I don't know if that makes sense, but that is the essence of you too. This is the essence of being fiercely you, is moving the way you need to move, is moving in the essence of you without the constraints of society or others around you. I'm not saying to neglect society. I'm not saying to neglect your responsibilities. I am not saying that. I am saying to continuously redefine and reconnect with the aspect of you. What do you want? What do you like? In my December check-in, I talked a lot about the aspect of like pleasure, passion in life, joy, and that the new year is sort of moving into this space. And as you are connecting to the fierceness of you and the darkness of you, if you can remind yourself during some of the really tough times, whether triggered by outside sources or yourself or things around you, that these dark moments are actually working to shed, to connect you to these pleasurable things, these joyful moments and the joy of you, the essence of you, the fierceness of you, the softness of you. It's connecting you to you. It's connecting you to you in this life as this person, as this human who absolutely has a purpose here. Frickin' Jane Goodall, I watched her, bless her soul, thank her soul for being around all of us now. How lucky are we as a fly goes into my screen? Like, we are lucky. That woman is amazing. And she talked a lot at the end when they were like, what do you want to say? You know, kind of unfiltered, because it was kind of interesting. They're like, you're going to die the whole time. And she was like, just chill about it. Fair enough. We are all going to die to some capacity, or not to some capacity. Well, maybe to some capacity based on your beliefs and stuff. And if you're going to come around again or stick around, you know what I mean? Anyways, they kept saying you're going to die. So what are you going to say in an unfiltered way? And she talks about how every single one of us matters. And that is absolutely the work that has been like filtering through any of the sources, me or others in this space, is that like you matter and you absolutely have a purpose here, and that you are living your purpose. Even if you don't feel connected to it, you are living your purpose in every breath, even while you're sleeping. And if you feel completely disconnected from that and you're lost, that's okay. Take a second, give yourself a hug and acknowledge it. In this space, we get very real. We get extremely real with what we're feeling and we validate it almost beautifully and wildly so that you can just continue to validate yourself and be awesome within yourself and move from a space of your connection to your knowings and your reality and your dreams, and you can connect and move forward and shift and evolve from a space of truth. And yeah, so if you're feeling a little bit lost or a little bit disconnected from your purpose, I just want you to almost take a deep breath and know that you are your purpose. Like how you respond to things is a part of your purpose. How you feel about things is a part of your purpose. If as an example, I'll put myself in this just to bring any uncomfort forward in a safe way because I have no problem talking about this stuff, or a safer way, hopefully, is when I was extremely reactive, and I call it my inner Callie, who's, if you know anything about Callie, she like rips men's heads off and doesn't let the blood fall so they don't have another lifetime. Like that was me in many situations, almost that like, I forget the terminology, but that like blackout wildness. That was a part of my purpose. Bear with me, not to hurt other people or harm other people or myself. And I was very fierce with my words and my energy. And yes, anyways, bear with me because I don't want to be here saying go and get buck wild and hurt others. Hell no, that's not what I'm saying here. So let me get to the like whoosh, the core of what I'm working to say. And then of course, if you have any questions anytime, you just reach out to me on social media. Rebs the Rucka anything, you can reach me, or Rebecca Reinhart. But when I was in that anger space, when I was in that unknowingly unhealed, trying to heal, bless my soul, when I was in that space, there was purpose. I was there to illuminate unhealed parts in myself. And I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else because they did this for me too. It was a mirror situation where it also illuminated where others were how they were showing up or not showing up for themselves. We were doing it to ourselves. So again, there's no better or worse ever, ever in this life. There is simply as we are. And so there was purpose in that because I was illuminating where I was at, but I was also illuminating where it was not okay. And it also got like if I was feeling very passionate and someone said something, I still kind of do this, but in a well, sometimes I'm cheeky. And I allow myself to be cheeky because I'm fiercely me, but I have a deep, beautiful heart. Anyways, if someone said something in the past in that when I was in that space, or they say something now and it's like, that's awful. I will say something, or I used to say something like that's absolute bullshit. In the past, my rage and the inner healing that was not fully recognized was a little bit reactive or a lot reactive. And again, I have so much love for myself in that, and there were so many lessons in it for myself and others. It showcased where there's like something that's really off within myself or the situation or my words, their words, right? Again, no one is better or less than ever. And so in all of these essence, there was purpose in me just being me. I had no idea kind of what I was doing. I lost everything because of the sex tape, because I couldn't handle it or because it got stripped from me. I knew nothing. I was terrified. I was angry. I was all the things from being a woman for myself in the society that still saw me as like almost nothing, or that was my perception of it. And now I just don't accept that. And I'm like, hopefully helping others on that too, because like, what? We're all humans who are amazing. So thanks. Anyways, there was purpose in that. There was purpose in me just existing in that space. I am a very different person now, although that is, I talked in my one-on-one to someone and I loved how I said it. So I'm happy to say it here too, is that all of that, the inner Callie is the earth of me now. It is the earth that moves me. It is the earth that I get to acknowledge and thank. And I get to plant different seeds now from that beautiful knowing and healing from that earth, from that darkness, from that depth, from, I don't even have to call it darkness. You know what I mean? But it was, not it was darkness, but it just was. It was what it was and it was, it just was. And it was my purpose. And of course, on a grander scale, do I feel that I have purpose in other ways? Definitely. Absolutely. Do I even fully understand the capacity of my purpose? No. Do I feel lost sometimes in my purpose? Yeah. But do I know and trust that when I am myself, my purpose just exists naturally? And therefore I am, and therefore it is. You know what I mean? And so we all have this really cool kind of existential capacity to just change the world through breathing and being ours and just being here. Like, hi, I'm here. I'm imperfect. Yay. And I'm awesome. Like, we all have that within us because you are like, I can't even like stress how it's so stressful. I'm just kidding, but I can't even stress how like stunning you are and how perfect you are. And I understand the premise of perfectly imperfect, but like fuck being imperfect because you're perfect. Like you're legitimately perfect. And yes, even to go into this kind of uncomfortable space where someone is, I know I talked about narcissism before and other types of like relationships with people or personalities or relationships with ourselves, yes, that stuff, it does exist. And even bear with me, even in the narcissism role, as an example, there still is purpose to heal and connect and grow your soul. And some people like to say mending karma, whatever you believe, there's purpose to that. I had a lot of narcissists around me. There was purpose to that. And I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's fantastical. And I'm not saying like, yes, everyone be a narcissist. Fuck yeah. Yes. In fact, I don't think many of us choose that willingly in this lifetime. Anyways, like as we are now. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. That's the previous podcast episode. Mind you, there literally like purpose is just like, it's just like spewing itself everywhere. It's puking itself everywhere. And it's just in the existence of life that you are living your purpose. And yes, let's go like talking of Jane, let's talk about Jane again for a second here. Her purpose was so beautiful. And I think she even said a few times, if I'm wording this correctly here, that she was just being herself and she found it kind of odd that people would notice things about her where she was just like, I was just kind of doing my thing, essentially. I know she was saying it a little different, but she was just being herself. And in her being herself, she was incredibly inspiring to many, maybe not to all. Maybe some people hate her. fair. And she knows that. And she's like, yeah, go ahead, hate me. I love it. Purpose. There's purpose in that. You're rejecting parts of yourself, maybe, or you really just don't like her or me or who. Great. She was pretty secure in herself, I would say. So that's cute. And in when we are also speaking of, being solid with self, being fierce in you is also being solid within yourself, confident within yourself, that there is this unshakability. We talked about this before. There's an unshakability. I think it was actually my November reading. November energetic check-in where it's this like foundation of just you and it's unshakable and it's the building of this unshakable sturdy sense of self. That's you. Fierce you has boundaries. Fierce you balls your face off, cries your face off out of the pain that you feel for yourself or the world. Fierce you notices the little bug that crawls on your table. Fierce you is just, it's you. It's you. It's the one that records the podcast. It's the one that reads or writes the book. It's the one that has an important conversation at work that changes the mentality of someone or the place that you work. It's literally in everything that you do. And that's really beautiful and that's so fiercely awesome. And so easy too. Like it also is like being fiercely you is actually the ease of just being yourself. And that's what's fierce. I feel like there's so much more to say on this. I would love to have a bantering conversation with you or someone. If you want to come on to the podcast, you have something to say, please send me a message. I would love to connect with you and see if it aligns. I also have some special episodes coming up in the new year, every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, with the lovely Aubrey from Pleasure Roots. We are going to be doing a very fun concept. I will talk about it more coming up soon. I'm very excited for those every once in a while podcast episodes, but I would love to have you in the space. I would love to have anyone on the space. We can talk about honestly anything. We enter in with heart space here. We're not perfect, but exactly as we are is perfect. So we're fucking perfect. You're perfect. I love you. See you later.